Okay, you ready? So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. So, we start our class with the recitation of Al-Fatiha. Okay, everybody ready? Tak payah ni you don't have to switch on the mic. So, I hope that everybody can see the screen. So, last week we have, basically we have started the first session, and I've shown the class or the course information. Basically, I just repeat again for a few minutes. So because not everybody was here last week, so basically by this time, well, you have this in the lectures note anyway. So you should know what is the course outcome, and the most important thing is the content. So basically, as far as the MEC 551 is concerned, so we have 7 chapters, roughly divided into within 14 weeks of lectures. So roughly we have about 2 weeks per chapters. That's it. And because of ODL, we have only one session of lectures. One session of lecture per week. So if we miss that, that means we miss the entire week lectures. So although the classes are arranged in such a way, we have 3 lectures plus 1 hour tutorial. So basically, but we don't. I don't think that we are going to take all 3 hours for lectures. Maybe, well, depend on the requirement. So we have 7 chapters. Fundamental of heat transfer. Last week, actually this MEC 551 basically is a special code called thermal engineering. It's actually a combination of 2 code normally. Previously we have thermodynamics 2 and we have also heat transfer, but after curriculum review and so on, so we only have 1 course called thermal engineering. So if you look at the content, so basically the chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 is basically chapters from standard heat transfer textbooks. Any heat transfer textbook, you have this conduction, convection, and the refrigeration, air conditioning, and combustion basically covered by the other textbook, the thermodynamic 2 normally. So we have that. In fact, last time we had the special textbooks called thermal engineering with our code MEC 511, basically published by McGraw-Hill. But I don't think the books are printed now. But you should find maybe a few copies in the library. Anyway, you can still use the thermodynamic textbook that you have used previously in thermodynamics during your, I think, thermo is in semester 2, right? And if you came from diploma, the same textbook that you use during the diploma. Okay, so basically that is the content and the detail of each chapter given there. So again, you can read in the lectures notes. And anyway, we are going to go through again in every chapters. And for ODL assessment, this is our basically how the courses are assessed. So previously we have tests as part of the coursework, 10%, but under ODL, so we basically incorporate that test in the assignment. So the assignment 30% is quite significant, and then we have quizzes. Quizzes are individual class activities, maybe during the tutorial session. And then we have 2 tests. The test 1 normally in week 7 or 8, depend on the times given by the faculty. And at the end of the semester, another test. That replaces the final examination. Normally we have 60% final exam at the end of the semester. But for ODL, we only have tests. So test 1 and test 2. Okay, so you can read that again. So yeah, stop sharing. I want to. So last week we have nampak this one. Nampak tak? Pertama nampak slide ni.
Tak nampak? Tak nampak?
Tak nampak
Tak nampak lagi. Tak keluar.
Okay.
Belum. Okay. Kejap ya. Okay dah.
Chapter 1. So this basically chapter 1 is basically you call it introduction chapter, but one of the most important chapter if I want to call it. So in this chapter basically we discuss all the fundamental about the heat transfer, and last week we have discussed this. So siapa yang tertinggal patah balik siapa yang tertinggal discuss balik, tengok balik. So last week we have discussed the principle of energy, first law and second law of thermodynamics, the concept basically the difference between thermodynamic and heat transfer, and so on. So, and then I think we start at this one, the mechanism of heat transfer. So this in this fundamental chapter we have this as our main discussion, basically the mechanism of heat transfer. So if you look at this particular this page, so basically this is not something new. You have seen this in your previous during the school day. Physics tingkatan 5 dulu ada, and then some of you went to Asasi matriculation and also or diploma. You discuss this in physics. Hubble. Okay, so basically the heat can be transferred by three different mechanisms: conduction, convection, radiation. Okay, apa dalam bahasa Malaysia saya pun tak ingat. Conduction, convection, radiation. So we have chapter 2, more detail, which will discuss conduction, and chapter 3 on convection. And we don't have a special chapter on radiation. Previously in the heat transfer course, we have all these three chapters discussed in more detail. So in this chapter we'll discuss what is conduction and what convection, radiation, and also we discuss what are the governing equation of this mechanism of heat transfer, but more detail on conduction through solids, through the various geometry, and also convection, whether it is forced or free convection, will be discussed in chapter 2 conduction and chapter 3 convection. Radiation tak ada, so radiation hanya kita bincang di dalam chapter ni saja. We only discuss radiation in this topic, so make sure that you understand what is radiation. So, but as I said, it's not something new. So basically when we talk about heat transfer, heat is energy which can be transferred from one point to another whenever there is or there are temperature difference between the 2 points. So there's conduction. Basically we need mediums. So conduction need medium. So transfer of energy from one more energetic particles or atoms or a molecule of a substance to the neighboring particle, less energetic particle, because of the interaction between the two particles. So we know that the difference between solid, gas, and liquid, how the particle, how the atoms, how the molecules are arranged in the lattice. So heat conduction basically, as I said, is transfer of energy by microscopic diffusion and also collision of particle within the body due to temperature difference. Right? When there is no temperature difference, obviously there is no transfer of energy. Okay, so that is the fundamental of it. So we have three different medium, of course. So conduction can occur in all these three: in solid, in liquid, and gas. Of course, the degree of the conduction will be different. So solid, we know that the atom or the particle or the molecules are packed in a lattice. For liquid, the molecules or the particle are free to move. They can collide, can diffuse in between. And gas, we have more space. The molecule are more freely to move around. So conduction can take place in all three. Bukan solid saja. So we have conduction in solids, we have conduction in liquids, and also gases. So in solid, basically, it is due to the combination of, as I said just now, the transfer of energy due to the vibration of the particle, the molecules in the lattice, and energy will be transferred from the more energetic particle to the neighboring less energetic particle, and energy is transferred by free electron, just like electric current. Whenever there is potential difference between two conductor, so the free electron will basically be transferred, and we get electric current. So in heat transfer, when there is temperature, when there are temperature difference, or when there is temperature difference between 2 points, so that transfer of energy is in the form of what we call it the transfer of heat. So the free electron is basically the energy carrier. So in gases and liquid, completely different story, because in gas and liquid, especially in gases, in liquid, well, both actually, liquid and gas, but in gases is more obvious. So in liquids, the conduction actually a combination of both, because the molecules or the particle can move around, it can collide and so on. So the conduction is due to the collision as well as the diffusion of the molecule during the random motion. So the more energetic particle or molecule transfer energy to the less energetic particle by collision, and also by diffusion of when they can move between spaces. So that these are the principle. Kena tahu jawab, It's a common question in the test. Basically, you are asked to explain or to discuss how the conduction take place in solid, liquid, and gas. Saya dah bagi satu soalan bocor untuk test. This is a very common question. Describe the conduction in solid, liquid, and gas. The transfer mechanism by heat transfer. Okay, so from this diagram, all these diagrams are taken from the textbook, the heat transfer textbook, the general textbooks that you have seen in the previous slide. Okay, so basically, whenever there is temperature difference between 2 points or two region, there will be heat transfer. So heat transfer from warm place to the cooler space. So if we talk about buildings, so kita tak ada summer winter, kita ada musim hujan, musim panas je. But in many parts of the world, they have summer and winter. Because during the winter, the outside temperature may be sub-zero. The room temperature is 20 plus, so there will be a lot of heat being transferred or lost from the building to the surrounding. And on the other hand, during the summer, when the temperature outside is much warmer, so the heat transfer from outside to the building. So like here in our place in Malaysia, so the outside temperature during the midday, 34-35 degrees Celsius. So you want to maintain the temperature inside the buildings for comfort zone is between 20 around 24 degrees Celsius. So a lot of heat is transferred from outside to the building, to our house. So we need to cut down the heat transfer by insulation and so on. Okay, so what is the governing equation? So we have this Fourier law of heat conduction. The same Fourier that you learn in mathematics, the same guy. He was a mathematician anyway. So Fourier law, we have Fourier series in mathematics. So basically, generally we'll discuss this one in more detail in chapter 2. Chapter 2, we have the Fourier equation in 3 different coordinates: in the Cartesian coordinate for flat surface, in the cylindrical coordinate for cylinders, and also in spherical coordinate for spheres, like the pressure vessel and so on. Okay, so basically, I'm not going to discuss this one in detail. We discuss in chapter 2 later. But Basically, Fourier law state that the law of heat conduction state that the rate of heat flow per unit time, rate of heat transfer through a material is proportional to there are two there. The gradient in temperature, what we call the temperature gradient, and then area at rate perpendicular to the direction of the flow, cross-sectional area. Ini selalu ya, bila dalam test ke apa, area mana selalu main belasah je. So we are talking about the cross-sectional area which is perpendicular to the direction of the heat transfer. So from the diagram, we see that the heat flow from the one face 30 degrees Celsius to the next surface 20 degrees Celsius. So the area which is perpendicular to the direction of the flow, you don't see that area. What we see is the cross section, the cut off there. So what is the temperature gradient? So the temperature gradient is the temperature difference divided by thickness. So you see that the gradient there, 30 to 20. So in that direction, it's always from the higher temperature to the lower temperature. In other words, we always have negative gradients of temperature. It is impossible to have heat transfer from 30 to some surface which is much higher temperature, positive gradient. So temperature gradient is always negative in the direction of the flow. So the Fourier law state that the rate of heat transfer, how large the heat transfer per unit time, proportional to the cross-sectional area and what we call the temperature thickness, temperature gradient, which is defined as temperature difference divided by thickness. Okay, so this is the Fourier equation, so which is called the Fourier law of heat conduction. So we have negative sign there. Why negative? Kenapa negative? By this time you should know that because dt over dx is negative. So to make it positive, so we have to put that negative sign there. So T2 is always less than T1. So we have negative gradient. So the rate of heat conduction, Q dot, equal negative there to indicate that the temperature gradient is always negative. A constant K multiplied by A, cross-sectional area, and that dt dx is called temperature gradient. K is called the thermal conductivity of the material. Okay, ini walaupun nampak simple tapi bila test ke bila exam salah kat sini selalu main belasah je. Area bukan area yang kita nampak. Area is the area that we are talking about is the cross-sectional area which is perpendicular to the direction of the flow, not parallel or surface temperature or whatever. It is the cross-sectional area. Okay, saya ulang banyak kali ni sebab inilah dia dalam exam, final exam pun biasanya masih salah lagi. Sebab hafal lah area. We are talking about not just area. We are talking about cross-sectional area which is normal to the direction of the flow or perpendicular to the direction of the flow. Okay, so this is the full equation. Again, you should know all the terminology there, all the terms there. Sorry. So we have 4 terms there: Q dot, we have K, we have A, we have dt over dx. Of course, the rate of heat flow, joule per second or watts. Temperature gradient in the direction of heat flow. Unit is degree Celsius per meter or sometimes Kelvin per meter. I put in bold there, cross-sectional area, normal to the direction of the flow. And K is what we call the thermal conductivity. It's a constant for a material. Every material have what we call the thermal conductivity. In the property of tables that you used before, you see for ideal gas and so on, you see there's one columns. One of them, there are many columns, and one of them is thermal conductivity of the gas or whatever at that particular temperature. Okay, jangan hafal faham. Hafal kenalah juga, tapi yang penting faham. Simple question like write down the Fourier equation and define each term. Itu pun ramai masih salah dalam test. Ini salah bocor lagi kali kedua ni saya beritahu ni. Simple question like if you look at the previous test, simple question defines or write down the Fourier equation of heat conduction and define each term. Inilah nih, how many terms that you have there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Q dot, dTdx, A, and K. Okay, move on. So basically, the Fourier laws is applicable to any surface. So just now we see a flat surface. Let's say we have hot cup of tea. So the surface which is perpendicular to the direction of the flow is that surface. Cylindrical surface, the inside surface of the cups. So that's why in chapter 2 we will discuss the cylindrical coordinate, because there are surfaces which are cylindrical in nature. So in this case, the heat transfer from the hot tea inside to the surrounding by conduction through the wall of the cups is by conductions. So the surface area that we are referring to is the area perpendicular to the direction of the flow, which is the cylindrical surface inside that. The whole surface. In the surface, the perpendicular area is the surface area inside of the cup. Okay. So what is K? So basically, that thermal conductivity K is defined. Well, the definition is basically we rearrange back that equation. K equal to Q dot divided by A divided by dt dx. So there's a standard definition of K, the rate of heat transfer through a unit thickness of material per unit area per unit temperature different. Or if you want to, I don't advise you to memorize a thing like this, but from the standard, from the general equation of Fourier equation, you can rewrite that easily. So what is K then? What is the significance of K? What is the physical meaning of K? So basically, it measures the ability of a material to conduct heat, as simple as that. So the K value, in engineering, sometimes we refer to K value. So you know that when we talk about K value, mean it is thermal conductivity of material. So normally when we talk about the insulation, they are rated in K value. Ada ni dekat Malaysia kita jarang guna quilt tebal-tebal ni. Kalau dekat UK, saya pernah pergi UK, dia punya selimut tebal. So the insulator are rated in saya lupa nombor ni, but it is actually related to the K value. Good insulator and good conductor actually determined by the value of K. So it's a measure of the ability of the material to conduct heat. So high value of K means good conductor. Yes. So good conductor means that material has high thermal conductivity. So low value of K means the material is of poor conductor, or in other terms, it is good insulator. So good, poor conductor, same as good insulator. So the symbol normally K is used. You can use any symbols under the sky, but in engineering usually we use K. That's why they call it K value. And the units, of course, you must know. From you arrange the equation, rate of heat transfer per meter per degree Celsius, or sometimes in Kelvin. Some textbook use Kelvin as a standard SI unit. Okay, so there is K. What is K then? It's a measure of the ability of material to conduct heat. So different material has different value of K. Good conductor like copper, all metals are basically good conductor. Copper are one of the best. The K value almost 400 there, 385. So all metal basically are good conductor, still about 50, iron and so on. And then poor conductor or good insulator. It's not really good insulator, but normally we call it a poor conductor: concrete, glass, brick, wood, and so on. And styrofoams and are called good insulator because they have very small K value. So for appliances like this, cooking pot and so on, of course we need good conductor. So the base are made of copper. Kalau buat semua biasanya mahal. So normally the good expensive one anyway. The pan are made of some copper alloy at the base to make it a good conductor. Okay, but on the other hand, on the extreme extreme application, we don't want good conductor. We want good insulator. for example, in the firemen's the uniforms, the glove, the jacket, the boots, the helmet, and so on are made of a very poor conductor or very good insulator. Previously, we have asbestos laid clothing, but now we have many other materials, synthetic material, which also a good insulator. Okay. Generally, the value range from 10,000 for crystal, diamond, graphite, and so on. For metals, few hundreds, copper, and so on. And for liquid, lower, and for gases is much lower. So roughly 10 to the power 4, 10,000. That's 10, in order of magnitude 10 to the power 4, the highest value of K. But for metal, few hundreds. Ingat tak perlu ingat exactly, but you know that for metal, few hundreds. Copper is about 400, slightly less. Aluminium slightly lower. Steel, iron is lower than that. But that is the range. When we talk about brick and so on, it's a few less than 1. They are not good insulator. So even if you don't know the exact value, at least you know the range of magnitude. That's the important. Engineers always basically one of the function of engineers is to estimate. Calculate is something, but estimate. Estimate basically means you should know the range of magnitudes of certain things. In this case, K value. So that is basically the range of K value. In more detail there, the value of K, the highest to the lowest. Again, it is a standard value for value of K of different material. So basically, the Fourier equation state that the rate of heat transfer proportional to cross-sectional area, the temperature gradient, and we have the constant there called thermal conductivity, negative signs there. Why? Because T2 is always less than T1. The temperature gradient is always negative. You see that? So we have copper, K value 400 plus, silicon, K value much less. So same area, same temperature gradient. So the temperature transfer would be different, higher in copper, and in silicon, which has about 1/3 of K value. So the rate of heat transfer is also about a third of that. Ini kena faham kat sini. Faham ni maksudnya faham lah. So we have dx is T2 minus T1. That's why we have negative. Bukan T1 minus T2. T1 minus T2 we get positive. So you don't need negative sign there if you do that. Okay, so thermal conductivity, as I said, is a constant for each material. Each material has a K value. But and we assume they are constant for short range of temperature. But it's actually the K value is not really constant. It depends on temperature. Some material like platinum, they have the K value is almost constant for a big range of temperature. But other materials, even like aluminiums and other metals, the K value decreasing with temperature. And for gases, other way around, the K value increases with temperature. But in our application, in our calculation, we assume K is constant. Kalau tak teruk lah nak kira kan. Kalau nak kira K varies, nanti buat PhD, nanti bila buat PhD buat calculation. But in our level, in our calculation, we assume K is constant for a small temperature range. Okay, ini pun soalan standard dalam test. Describe the value of K, variation of K with temperature. So basically, K value basically change with temperature. For metals, normally the value slightly decreases. For gases, increase. But we assume the K value is constant for many applications. Okay. So example you can go through this one easily. You can go through this one dalam tutorial straightforward, basically just a simple calculation. You are given a very simple problems. Important thing is that you know what are the data there. So we have a glass window, thickness 1.5 cm or 15 mm. Ini kat sini selalu salah ni. Area mana? Dia nampak, students nampak area yang dia nampak saja. So when we talk about the area, we are talking about the cross-sectional area, the one that you don't see from here, which the one which is perpendicular to the direction of the flow. So that means if the glass window size is 100 times 50, so that is the cross-sectional area. So the temperature gradient outside is -5, inside is 20. So the difference of temperature is 20 minus -5, which is 25. So 25 is the temperature difference. The thickness is 1.5 cm. So the temperature gradient is 25 divided by the thickness. Of course, you have to convert to meter. So you understand the problem. You understand the data or the value there, and the question asks you how much heat loss through the window for 2 hours. So obviously we need to calculate the rate of heat transfer in joule per second or in watts. So using the Fourier equation, we can calculate that easily. The temperature difference is 25, 20 minus -5. The thickness is 1.5 centimeter. So by K is given 0.78. So by simple calculation, you get 650 watts. So it's quite big actually. So 650 watts is not small. A large refrigerator in our homes, that is the rating of the power. It's about 600 watts. So almost 1 horsepower. 1 horsepower is 740. So imagine that is only from one window. The heat loss from one window. Imagine if if the house has 20 windows. So we have to multiply by 20 times. So big energy losses. That's why we need to know the thermal engineering. Otherwise, we just pay the bills to heat our house during winter. So 650 watts heat loss, rate of heat loss. So in 2 hours, so this is the bill that you pay to TNB. So multiply by 2 hours. This is of course in joule or in kilowatt hour. 0.65 multiplied by 2 hours. So 1.35, 1.3 kilowatt hour. So in the electricity bill, that is converted into ringgit and cents. So the TNB charge the user by kilowatt hour joule of energy. Okay, paham eh? So that's how we use the Fourier equation, simple one. In chapter 2, we have more detail than this. Ini simple saja. In chapter 2, we have various surfaces. Flat surface like this, or cylindrical surface, like in pipes, or in cups just now, or we may have spherical surfaces, like we have plenty in engineering applications, spherical vessel. Okay. So again, these are similar questions. Basically, now you can see the surface area because you see from one view. The surface area is the height divided by width. Of course, on the right hand side, there what you see is from the side, so you don't see. Yang ni yang selalu salah ni. So dah betul lah bila area di belah sah je. Area yang dia nampak, yang dia tak nampak. Dia tak kira. I'm referring to the previous students when they do the test or examinations. Well, they write the Fourier equation correct, but they don't know the difference between surface area, cross-sectional area. So just sebelah sah je. Nampak A area, apa yang dia fikir je lah. But we know that Fourier equation, when we talk about area, we are talking about surface, cross-sectional area. Okay, so this is actually the same problem. We can go through this one easily. So basically, knowing the temperature difference, knowing the temperature difference is 21 to -4, which is 25 degrees Celsius. This is the cross-sectional area. K value is given, so you can calculate the rate of heat transfer through the window. Okay, I'm not going to go in detail this. Okay, dah paham conduction eh? We have a chapter called conduction in chapter 2 after this. So this is just the introduction of the conduction. you should know the mechanism of heat transfer in by conduction. In other words, that you should be able to explain the physical meanings and also the K value in the thermal conductivity. What is the significance in engineering, in thermal engineering? And of course, you should know the Fourier the equation which govern this heat transfer by conduction, which is called the Fourier law for conduction. Okay, habis. Bukan habis kelas, habis conduction. Ada lagi dua. Convection. Apa dalam bahasa Malaysia? Saya pun lupa dah. Lama dah. Saya ambil SPM 30 tahun lepas. Kamu baru saja mesti ingat ya. Lebih 30 tahun lepas. Long time ago. So this is the second mode of heat transfer. Energy transfer between solid and fluid. Itu condition ya. Convection only occurs between solid surface and fluid. Fluid means liquid or gas. When we have solid and solid, we don't have convection, of course. We have conduction. But convection only occurs in when the heat transfer between two media, solid surface, and the other one is fluid, which is free to move. So basically, if you look at the definition of convection there, it's basically a combination of two. It's basically the conduction. The convection is basically conduction and also what we call the advection, which is due to the motion of the fluid. As you see in the diagram, that the heat transfer between the heater, the solid surface of the heater, metals, and the surrounding, which is medium, which is air. So the air can basically move around in contact with the surface. So we have heat transfer by convection. Again, as I said, we have in chapter 3, we have more detailed discussion on convection, free convection, forced convection, and application. But here, in this introductory chapter, you should know what is convection. Basically, convection can only happen or occurs in fluid, gas, or liquid, because they can move around. For gas, later we'll discuss the mechanism. One of the mechanism of heat transfer, free convection or natural convection in gas. The mechanisms, the heat transfer is actually due to the motion of the gas is due to the change of density of the gas. So the gas in contact with the solid surface will be heated and expand. When something is expanding, means less density. So due to the buoyancy effects, so the less dense gas will move up, rising, and the vacuum is filled with cooler gas. So that is the mechanism of convection, free convection, that we will discuss later in chapter 3, more detail. Okay, here basically you should know what is a convection. So there are various types of convection. As I said just now, the general classification is either free or forced convection. Forced convection means the fluids are being forced to move by external force. In this case, the radiator. For example, in the car radiator, so the heat transfer from the hot engine to the radiator by means of the flowing water, and the water is moved by water pumps. So it is forced convection. Kalau water pump rosak, engine pun rosak kan, selalu kan. Kalau temperature naik, kenapa? Biasa kalau dalam siapa bawa kereta tak tahulah. Kita kena tengok temperature kan, kalau actually kereta yang lama-lama. So if the temperature increase, means either radiator bocor ataupun pump air rosak, water pump rosak. Jangan bawa saja. Kalau bawa saja, engine akan jam, overheated. So That's how the one of the example of convection. Or in bigger scale, so we have day and night, for example, or even during the day, the formation of cloud and so on. Basically, the rise of the water vapor from the surface to the upper atmosphere by convection. The warmer air will rise, and the place are replaced by much cooler air. So that is the convection. Even the formation of clouds in our atmosphere is due to the convection, the motion of water vapor due to the basically the motion of the air due to the temperature difference between the warm air of less density will rise, and the cooler air of higher density will replace the space vacant. Okay, so basically, as I said, generally the convection can be classified in the broad two classes or two type of convection. Forced convection, and the other one is natural convection. In chapter 3, we'll discuss the equation of more detail on this forced convection and natural convection, and what factors affecting the rate of heat transfer. So convection is commonly classified into forced convection and natural convection. And there is another one, change of phase. We don't discuss in our syllabus, but in any heat transfer textbook, we have one more chapter, boiling process, for example, where the change of phase of fluid from liquid to vapor is boiling. So that is one type of convection. So in our syllabus, we only discuss forced convection and natural or free convection. Okay, so what are those? So basically, from the name itself, we can see. Natural convection means the air is moving on its own due to the temperature difference. When the air is in contact with hot surface, it will rise, and the place is replaced by the more dense, cool air. So we will, due to the buoyancy effect, as I said just now, of the in the air. We discussed that in chapter 3. And forced convection, basically the air is being forced by external force. In this case, the fan force the air to move. So the heat transfer will increase because of the air is being forced to move. So generally, the forced convection is bigger than natural convection. The rate of heat transfer in forced convection is bigger than the rate of heat transfer in natural convection. Okay, or in this diagram, so we have natural convection, heat transfer naturally, but if we stir the liquid, so the convection will be, the rate of heat transfer will be higher. So this is, so the stirring there basically is make the fluid move. So this is forced example of forced convection, natural convection and forced convection. Okay, faham generally? Daripada nama tu boleh tahu, natural, force, or sometimes they are called this one is called free convection. So change phase, as I said, change phase mean from liquid to vapor, or from vapor from liquid to solid, solid to liquid. That's called change phase. So in thermodynamics or heat transfer, the change of phase in that from liquid to vapor or vapor to liquid is classified as basically heat transfer by convection, boiling and freezing. But we don't discuss in our syllabus. Tapi kena tahulah, nanti kalau interview ke apa-apa tanya boiling. So boiling is what is the heat transfer? By boiling, it is by convection. Baru ini saya ambil exam. At my age, I also took exam for professional qualification, what energy auditor. They ask this: what is the heat transfer in the boiler? Boiler mean from liquid to vapor. Okay, what is the equation? So we have this. the equation which basically govern the convection. So we have Newton's law of cooling. So the same guy there, the same Pak Cik Newton yang kita belajar dalam dynamic, Newton law of dynamic kinematics semua tu kan. So the same Newton law of cooling, long time ago, 1701, lama, bukan zaman Hang Tuah lepas tu, tapi lama lah kan, more than 300 years ago. So the Newton law of cooling basically is law of governing this convection equation. It states that the rate of heat convection depend on several things. A, ini beza tadi we have rate of heat convection equation itu equal to that equation H multiplied by A multiplied by the temperature difference. Temperature difference between solid and fluid. That is what we call the temperature difference. A in this case is the surface area. Paham? Tadi cross sectional area. A is the surface area in which the solid and liquid are in contact. H is called the coefficient of convection. Okay, this is the equation. Newton of cooling. So rate of heat convection in one particular direction. So H is the coefficient of convection. The unit can be rearranged from the equation. You say that watt per square meter per Kelvin or per degree Celsius. A is the surface area. Saya kena ulang balik ni banyak kali ni. Surface area means the surface where the solid and liquid meets, the contact area. Kalau di silinder, silinder lah. Kalau di flat surface, flat space lah. Kalau di sphere, sphere lah. Sphere dan sebagainya. T wall means the solid temperature, the solid surface temperature. T fluids mean the temperature of the fluids far further away from the surface. Okay, generally the temperature difference between fluid and solid. So this is the equation, the Newton law of cooling. Always true, both in forced convection or in free conduction. But this value of H is different from K just now. The value of K is fixed. It is unique for each material, but not H. What is H? The convection heat transfer coefficient. So H is not fixed. It depends on many things. So the value is actually determined by experiment. So different condition, different value of H. Dia bukan sama saja. Although the surface is the same, the fluid is the same, temperature is the same, the H value will be different. Depend on the surface geometry. So by geometry mean whether it is geometry means shape or the orientation, oval or circle or rectangle, whatever. The shape and also the orientation. Orientation means if we have oval bukan circle, so the heat transfer will be different if the fluid flow from one direction, horizontal direction, and compared with the horizontal and vertical, the heat transfer will be different because of the geometry. Surface condition. The conditions mean whether the surface is very smooth or rough, thing like that. That's considered as the surface condition. The nature of fluid motion, we'll discuss later, whether the nature of the fluid is laminar flow or the turbulent flow. Okay, fluid properties. Fluid properties means all the fluid properties, density, viscosity, semua tu ya. And also the velocity of the fluids. So the value of H depends on all this. It is not fixed. In other words, if the velocity is high, so the value of H is higher. As simple as that. Faham? Sebab tu value if you look on the table on the right hand side there, the value is not fixed. It is a range of value. Depend on all these condition. So you see that range from for free convection of gases, value between 2 to 25. In other words, that is the range of magnitude. can be big difference. Free convection in liquid from 10 to 1,000, so huge difference there. Range of value. Okay, paham? Boleh explain what is value of H? It's again popular question. What is coefficient of convection and how it is determined? Or what are factors which determine what parameters which determine the value of H? Inilah dia semua ni. Bukan hafal Hafal tu hanya sebahagian. Paham tu yang penting. So it is the value of H is not fixed. Come from is determined from experiment. So in the labs, I don't know whether your lab still have these apparatus. I think so. And in the labs, you have dulu dalam heat transfer lab. Sekarang you tak ada heat transfer lab. You have a combination. I think you still have that, the heat transfer, because it's difficult. The most difficult experiment in the lab is heat transfer because of the conditions of the heat is not easy to control. In other words, so heat can lose not through the it can lose by all means, by conduction, convection, and radiation. So it's quite difficult to achieve a very ideal experiment which involve heat transfer normally. Okay, apa ni? Oh, it's just a diagram there. So basically, the value of H difference at different value of fluid properties. For example, this one, heat transfer versus flow speed. Different velocity of the fluids, of course, it produces different value of heat transfer. The surface conditions, some surfaces are thin like this, or some surfaces are very smooth. So the rate of heat transfer are also different. So why these fins are made? Macam engine kapcai kamu kan? It's not a solid block, but the fins are attached, basically to increase the surface area so that the rate of heat transfer by convection will be increased accordingly. Okay, so basically again, as I said, chapter 2-3 will discuss more detailed equation of heat transfer by convection, free and forced, various shapes, various geometry, various condition, various flow conditions, laminar, turbulent, and so on. But for this purpose, you should know how to use this cooling, Newton law of coolings. So simple example like this, you have pipes carrying hot fluid inside there. It's exposed to the surrounding. So you're asked to calculate the heat transfer. So air of temperature 10 degrees Celsius flow with velocity of 5 meters per second across a tube. The outer diameter of the tube is 1 centimeter. The length is 5 centimeter. And the surface of the tube there is maintained at 100 degrees Celsius, 110. So you have to calculate how much heat loss, rate of heat loss from the surface, the tube, to the air, given the value of H is 85 watt per square meter square, or square meter per degree Celsius. Okay, just a simple calculation using the Newton law of coolings. Transfer that into simple diagram, sketch. You see all the parameters, and from which you just plug into the Newton law of cooling. Ini biasanya kat sini ambil masa lama, but if you sketch a simple diagram, that's the solving procedure. Sketch the diagram is one of the most important. Although the question never ask you to sketch the diagram, but sketching the diagrams basically to transfer the woody sentence like that into a simple diagram, and that will help you a lot to understand the problem before you start the calculation. So one of the steps in the problem solving is diagrams, sketch diagrams. Ramai sampai tahun akhir semester 8 pun ramai bypass ni. Malas nak sketch diagram. Bukan suruh lukis, sketch. Sketch mean a simple freehand diagrams that will help you a lot in the problem solving. So in the MEC 400s, you have learned step in problem solving. One of them is sketch the diagram. Okay, so just everything must be right. Surface area. Area mana? The heat transfer is between the outer surface to the surrounding. So the surface area that you are talking about is the kenapa patah balik ni? The surface area of the cylinder. Jangan hafal formula. Ada yang sampai sekarang ada yang masih tak ingat apa formula apa ni? Surface area of the cylinder. 2 pi r multiplied by L or pi dl. So from which you can calculate the surface area. So the rate of heat transfer per unit area per square meter, Q dot divided by A, is given by that. Okay, Newton of Coulomb. Temperature of the ball, temperature of the air. This is the value of H, 85. So we have rate of heat transfer per square meter, 8,500 watt per square meter. For every 1 square meter, 8,500 watts. So therefore, if the surface area is 0.157, you just multiply by that. So we have rate of heat transfer of 1.335 kilowatt. Besar, just a small pipes, a small surface, but the rate of heat transfer is big, 1.3 kilowatt. It's very significant heat loss. So imagine if the pipes is of bigger diameter and much longer pipes. So that's why if you look at the air conditioning system, even in the engineering complex there, you see a lot of pipes carrying chill water from the chiller for the air conditioning system. Nampak kan pipe yang besar-besar tu, dia tulis CWR, chill water return, CWS, chill water supply. So the pipes are insulated, otherwise the heat loss to the surrounding will be huge. Bayar bil lagi banyak lah. Okay, we'll discuss convection in more detail in chapter 3. So finally we have this, heat transfer by radiation. So radiation mean, nak cakap macam ni. So basically conduction and convection need medium. For conduction, we have conduction in solid, liquid, and gas. For convection, we have a heat transfer between solid and fluids, liquid or gas. But radiation, heat transfer by radiation, we don't need medium. In other words, heat can be transferred through empty space, through vacuum. Well, the best example is how we get the heat from the sun. There's nothing between Earth and the sun. Berapa lama cahaya sampai dari matahari ke bumi? Dia belajar kan? Speed of light. All the radiation traveling at the speed of light. So about 8 minutes from the sun, radiation from the sun to the third rock from the sun. We are the third rock from the sun. The first rock is Mercury. The second rock is Venus. Venus is the bright star that we see in the morning or in the evening normally. And the third rock from the sun is Earth. The fourth rock from the sun is Mars, Mareh, and after that, no more. There's only 4 rocks from the sun. Jupiter, Saturn, and so on is not rock. It is gaseous planets. 2 nights ago, we can see very bright fourth rock from the sun, Mars, very bright, because 2 days ago, there's the closest distance between Mars and Earth. It's happened every 2, 3, 4 years, depend on the position in the orbit. So how the heat is transferred from the sun to all the planets is by radiation. There's nothing there, empty space. From the sun to the earth by electromagnetic radiation. Radiation, we talk about electromagnetic radiation or the solar radiation. Solar radiation is one type of electromagnetic radiation. So what is electromagnetic radiation? Basically is radiation. It's carrying an energy carrying wave. You can explain that in terms of wave due to the vibration of something, and that very fast frequency, and produce various type of electromagnetic. The wavelength can be from several kilometers for in radio wave, or to very short wavelength like in gamma ray, much less. So the speed, all of them traveling at the speed of light. Okay. Radiation is heat transfer by electromagnetic wave. So thermal radiation is actually electromagnetic wave produced by a body because of the temperature. The higher the temperature, the higher the radiation is emitted. So, for example, so the radiative power of a body depend on temperature. But for radiation, we always refer to the absolute temperature. Absolute temperature means the temperature in Kelvin. Ini saja beza dia. In conduction and convection, we can use Celsius or Kelvin because we are talking about the change of temperature. Change of one temperature equal to of 1 Celsius equal to the change of temperature in 1 Kelvin. But for radiation, we always refer to absolute temperature in Kelvin because we are not talking about the change of temperature. We are talking about the Okay, so this is the whole range of spectrum of radiometric radiation from the longest one, radio wave several kilometers, to gamma ray, very short wave, all of them traveling at the speed of light. So when we talk about thermal radiation, we are talking about this range, infrared. So the heat is carried by the wave in the region of what we call the infrared. Invisible lights. Infrared is something that you cannot see. So the visible lights is there, beyond which we call it ultraviolet. We don't see it, of course, the rest. And infrared is on the other side, longer wavelength than the visible lights. We don't see it, but we can feel it as heat thermal radiation. Okay, again another diagram. So the visible light, somebody mentioned about 7 colors of rainbow. Bukan 7. 7 tu sebenarnya infinity. You cannot count how many colors there. From the ultraviolet to the red there, continuous. It's not distinct region there. So that is the visible lights, and the thermal radiation is basically in that range, infrared. Infrared is actually the radiation which carry the heat. Okay. Saya dah sebut semua tadi, radiation energy emitted by in the form of electric wave. Unlike conduction and convections, the heat transfer does not require a medium. It can travel in empty space, in vacuum. The heat transfer by radiation is fastest and basically actually at the speed of light. From the sun to earth, we talk about the speed of light. So it take about 8 minutes. So the heat transfer studies were the form of radiation emitted by body because of their temperature. So as we have discussed before, any body, any surface which have temperature higher than 0 Kelvin will emit radiation. So that's why we use Kelvin scale. 0 Kelvin negative 273. That is absolute 0. Above that 1 Kelvin, and in other words 1 Kelvin negative 272, we have radiation emitted by the body. So anything which above 0 Kelvin will emit energy in the form of thermal radiation. But the higher the temperature, the higher the what we call the radiative power. Okay, so thermal radiation emitted by bodies because of the temperature. At 0 Kelvin, nothing is being emitted. Anything above 0 Kelvin will emit radiation. 0 Kelvin berapa? Negative 273 Celsius. So that's why in radiation, we always use Kelvin temperature. Ini beza dengan yang tadi ya, conduction and convection. So all form of matter above 0 Kelvin will emit radiation. So the rate of energy emission independent of the surrounding, the heat transfer basically by radiation ini proportional to the fourth power. Fourth power means power 4 of the temperature in Kelvin. T power 4, T in Kelvin. Depend on the spatial relationship of the surface and its surrounding. Later we have a term on this. And compare with conduction and convection, it is the least, means efficient of heat transfers. So what is the equation govern this radiation? We will not discuss radiation in any chapter. Chapter ni saja. Kita tak ada special chapter on radiation. We have chapter 2, chapter on conduction, chapter 3 on convection. Tak ada chapter 4 on radiation, tak ada. So this is the only time that we will discuss radiation. So try, you have to understand this radiation equation. So it is called Stefan-Boltzmann equation. So there are two guys there. It's the same guy that you see plenty in engineering. So it states that is the equation. The rate of heat transfer, Q dot, by radiation, depend on 4 there. One of them is the 4th power of absolute temperature, T power 4. T is absolute temperature in Kelvin. Saya letak merah tu. So kalau soalan dia begini, write down the equations govern the radiation and explain each term. You have to write this equation. T is in temperature in Kelvin. Kalau you letak T saja, temperature, tolak markah 1. This is the absolute surface temperature in Kelvin. It is wrong if you put Celsius, because that equation is based on the 4th power of absolute temperature. So the radiation rate of heat transfer by radiation is equal to that equation, depend on the 4 terms. T is the absolute surface temperature. A is the surface area. I miss that. Tertinggal kat situ. A is the surface area, just like in convection just now. The surface area. Tertinggal nanti saya betulkan. Okay, sepatutnya tak tertinggal, terpotong. A is absolute temperature. And we have 2 terms there. E, a constant there, the epsilon there. Emissivity, epsilon there. Emissivity, the value is between 0 and 1. Tak ada kurang, tak ada lebih. The value of emissivity is between 0 and 1. And we have another constant called Stefan-Boltzmann constant. It is a constant that you see in thermodynamics a lot. Standard equation there. You cannot change that constant. Okay, so this is the equation which govern the heat transfer by radiation. So what is emissivity? Tadi Stefan Boltzmann constant. So basically, we have this in radiation. We have a term called black body. Black body is the maximum radiation which can be emitted by a body. In other words, the emissivity equal to 1. So the maximum amount of radiation that can be emitted from a surface at absolute temperature is called the black body emissive power. In other words, emissivity equal to 1. So it is idealized surface. We cannot have surface which have 1 emissivity, but that's why the value is between 0 and 1. So 1 means perfect. So idealized phase that emit radiation to maximum rate is called the black body. Badan hitam. Bukan badan hitam. Black body. So the radiation emitted by real surface is less than the radiation emitted by this ideal body called black body. So black body means emissivity equal to 1. Okay. So black body means perfect. Perfect black. Lebih hitam daripada seekor semut hitam di malam yang gelap di atas batu hitam. Lebih gelap pada itu. Perfect black. Other than that, they are called grey body. So black body means emissivity equal to 1. So anything less than that, grey body. So kita semua badan kita kira grey body. Walaupun kamu kata putih ke hitam ke, all of us are grey as far as the thermal engineering is concerned. So most objects are called grey body. Emissivity is less than 1. So the ratio of the total emissive power to that black body is called the emissivity. That's the equation, the value just now. So the value is always less than 1. 1 means a perfect emitter. 0 means perfect absorber. Perfect reflector. Absorber pula. Okay, so the emissivity is the ratio of the emissivity of a body to the ideal body called the black body. Faham maksud dia? Value of emissivity. So the higher the value of emissivity means the higher rate of heat transfer by radiation is depend on the surface nature, the color, the texture, and so on. So a black body is defined as perfect emitter and absorber of radiation. So perfect emitter is also perfect absorber. The good emitter is also a good absorber of heat. So that's why the solar thermal, if you talk about the solar hot water, so the absorber is made of dark material. It is a good absorber of heat. But it's also a perfect emitter. So the black body or the dark body will lose heat faster than bright shiny surface, for example. So a specified temperature and wavelength, surface can emit more energy than black body, and black body absorb all incident of radiation in all direction, regardless of the wavelength and direction. That is the additional of the this characteristic of perfect emitter and perfect absorber. Emissivity equal to 1. They are called black bodies. Okay, itu ya. All of this is just terminology. I'm not going to discuss in detail of this, but when we talk about radiation, we're talking about incident radiation, reflected radiation, absorption, transmitted radiation. Kena paham semua ni. Why are you talking about this one? We're talking about the transmitted radiation. Ini dalam fizik kalau kita belajar light, incident light, reflected light, and then refracted, all that terms. But in heat transfer, we talking about radiation mean infrared radiation, heat radiation. So reflected radiation in the form of infrared, absorption in the form of energy, heat transmitted in the form of heat transfer in the form heat transfer. The wavelength can change, but the speed is the same. Okay. Again, in other terms, I'm not going to discuss this. There's another terms, absorptivity. It is actually opposite to that one. That's why we call the good emitter is also the good absorber. So we have emissivity, and we have another term called the absorptivity. That one. The rate of energy transfer absorption. So we have that absorptivity. But when we talk about the Stefan-Boltzmann equations, we are referring to emissivity. So jangan confuse. So that's why saya tak nak discuss banyak kat situ dekat absorptivity, because we discuss about the heat transfer by radiation. So normally with a good emitter is also good absorber. So black body is good emitter. At the same time, black body is also a good heat absorber. So warna penting. So the value of emissivity depend on the surface texture and color, shining or dull, dark or bright. So that will determine the rate of heat transfer by radiation. So, but if we talk about the heat transfer to the surroundings, so we are talking about the radiations from the body to the surrounding, and at the same time from the surrounding to the body, exchange of heat transfer. So the body emit radiation to the surrounding. So at the same time, the surrounding, the body absorb heat from the surrounding, because the surrounding is also at higher temperature than 0 Kelvin. So the Stefan-Boltzmann of equations is written in that way. So radiation exchange between the body and the surrounding. So same emissivity, same Stefan-Boltzmann equation, constant, same surface temperature, but T power 4 is that temperature of the surface power 4 minus temperature of the surrounding power 4. Bukan power 4 kat dalam, bukan kat luar, bukan T1 minus T2 power 4. Salah. The exchange, actually this one is the heat transfer radiation and then this one is absorption. In other words, the difference between radiation and absorption, the exchange between the surface and the surrounding. So this is the radiant exchange from one surface to the surrounding. Okay, so if you want to calculate how much heat loss from the body to the surrounding, so this is the Stefan-Boltzmann's equation, the difference between the heat emitted and heat absorbed from the surrounding. Temperature must be in Kelvin. Once you put in Celsius, salah lah. The temperature is the absolute temperature. What's the time now? The class is supposed to be 3 hours, but I said normally we can talk for 3 hours, or most importantly, nobody can listen for 3 hours. So 1.5 hours is about right. One way interaction. Entah berapa orang dah tidur, saya pun tak tahu. Saya tak dapat, saya nampak slide saja. Ataupun berapa orang dah lari daripada ni. Lepas ni kena isi attendance. Every class will give you the Google form for attendance. Make sure you tidur ke tak tidur, isi. Itu ada. So jangan. Kalau kamu pergi gym ke goreng ikan ke, saya tak tahu. Yang saya assume that you are in front of the computer. So we're almost there actually. So basically when we talk about radiation, as I said just now, ini kamu dekat sini, nombor 3 ni, the third rock from the sun, as I said just now. The radiation takes 8 minutes from the surface of the sun to reach us. So we can see Venus, we can see Mars, the other rocks. We can see Mercury, very difficult because normally it's very close to the sun. We can see Jupiter. Sekarang boleh nampak. Kalau tengok malam-malam boleh nampak ni, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Go outside between 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. You can see all this. The red one is Mars. Jupiter is also red, but less red, and then the yellow is Saturn. The rest you cannot see. You need telescope. So the radiation from the sun reach us about 8 minutes. So the relative size is correct, but the relative distance is not correct. 8 minutes to reach this, and take 22 hours to reach Uranus or Neptune. Okay. In other words, the relative distance there is not correct. And Pluto has been demoted. Pluto is no longer a planet. Dulu dalam buku sains ada 9 planet, sekarang ada 8 saja. Pluto is demoted to just a cold body in the solar system because there are many objects like Pluto, cold body. Temperature just several Kelvin. So, of course, the temperature of the sun is several thousand degree Kelvin. So it emits radiations to the whole solar system, and we reach all of our energy is actually from the sun. Even when we talk about the plants make the food by photosynthesis. Kalau tak ada cahaya matahari, tak ada lah. So energy from the sun. Okay. Why we can feel the heat from the sun, but not from the hot bulb like this? Sekarang tak adalah mentol macam ni kan. Although the temperature is also very high, but we don't feel it. Nampak tak beza dia? So basically when we talk about the sun, we're talking about the relative size there is so huge compared with this one. So when we talk about bulb, there is just a small dot. So the intensity of radiation become less and less and less further away from the source, and we don't feel the heat. We can see the light, but we don't feel the heat. We can see the visible electromagnetic radiation, but we don't. The infrared radiations reach us, but at very low intensity. Okay, radiation equation basically the same equation as before. We have problems, but now we have radiation. So we have hot pipes. The dimension is given. Emissivity is given. The temperature of the surrounding air is given. Everything is given. And the question, calculate the heat loss by radiation. So apa yang you perlu buat pertama kali sebelum apa-apa? What's the first step? temperature must be in Kelvin. Itu langkah pertama. Kalau tak buat tu salah lah. Temperature must be in Kelvin. So you convert all the temperature into Kelvin. That's the first job that you have to do. Sebelum terlupa. Ini biasa terlupa. Dah buat terlupa. So when we talk about radiation, the temperature is measured, or we're referring to absolute temperature. So after all the sketching is the step, but I asked you just now is what is the most important thing here is that temperature throws 20 degrees Celsius plus 273. So we have 293 Kelvin of temperature. All of them. Q1 is 273 plus 50, Q2 is 273 plus 20 in Kelvin. And then just use the Stefan-Boltzmann equation. Yeah, the first step. The rest is the same. Area, surface area of the cylinder, heat loss per unit length. So, okay. Per unit length, pi dl is the area. So per unit length is pi d, of course, L code. So that is the equation. Temperature is in Kelvin. Just plug in the value, emissivity, Stefan-Boltzmann constant, the surface area per unit length. Pi is 3.14 unit. Oh, that include tadi, And then the temperature power 4 in Kelvin. T1 power 4 minus T2 power 4. Yang selalu salah, temperature tak convert. Yang kedua, power 4 letak kat luar. Itu yang selalu salah dalam test. Dan buat betul-betul tapi tak betul lah tu. So from which you can calculate the heat loss by radiation per unit length. Okay, so we have all three heat transfer. You understand what are the mechanism, understand what is the governing equation, the Fourier law of heat conduction, the Newton law of cooling, and the Stefan-Boltzmann equations. So it's just a straightforward. Ini selalu test satu, test one. This time you don't have test one. So nasib baik tak ada. Tapi ada dalam project, it is embedded in the project. You also have to calculate heat transfer by conduction, convection, radiation in various applications. Okay. So in real life, actually we don't have convection on its own. Jarang, convection on its own, conduction on its own, radiation is on its own. Normally the three mechanisms occurs at the same time. For example, let's say this is a human body. So heat loss from our body by all three means. Of course, radiation is one of them. Our body is berapa? Selalu pergi mall measure temperature. Pergi mall 30 darm kan. Kadang-kadang abang pegat tu begitu. Awak punya temperature 34. Gitu. Mana ada 34 kan? All body temperature 36 plus. And now people forgot why we measure temperature. Actually, to measure why we measure temperature in the first place. Bukan sebab SOP SOP lah, tapi orang lupa kenapa kita kena measure temperature. Just to make sure you orang yang sihat boleh masuk. So actually tak perlu detail 36.1 ke 36.2 ke kat dahi ke kat tangan, tapi itu melambatkan As long as your temperature is less than 37, you are allowed to go to the mall, means you are healthy. So your body temperature is always 36 to 37. If you are 37 plus, mean maybe you have suspected demam, very risky. If your body temperature is 39, most likely you have dengue, pergi hospital. Itu saja sebenarnya. Tapi kadang-kadang menyebabkan lambat masuk. Setiap kali kalau nak masuk surau 5 kali letak kat dahi itu. Walaupun baru je tadi measure. There's SOP. Kena ikut sajalah. Kalau komplain pun kena buat juga kan. So the heat loss from our body by radiation, one of them, because our body is at almost 273 plus 36 degrees Celsius, 36 Kelvin. Also by convection, the air is moving. We are sweating. So the sweat evaporate. That is also change of phase from liquid to vapor. That is evaporation, considered as convection. Of course, if our body is in contact with other body, the stool is made of steel, for example. So at lower temperature, so heat loss from our body to the steel bench by conduction. Okay, so all these three mechanisms normally happen at the same time. Bukan badan, not only in this case, from any engineering application, even from your capture. engine, hot engine, heat loss by convection. When you move, the air is the moving air, it will be in contact with the hot engine casing or engine blocks. So heat loss by convection. By radiation, of course, hot temperature of engine will emit radiation, and by conduction maybe less to the other part of the kapchai on your motorbike. So in other words, most real problem will involve combination of these three mechanisms. So kena calculate tiga-tiga. But in our course, the calculation is very specific. Sometimes they only ask you conduction, sometimes they ask you convection. But there are several times you have to consider all three combination of the heat transfer mechanism. So just use the three equation governing equation just now: Fourier law, Newton law, and Stefan Boltzmann equation. Okay, simultaneous heat transfer mechanism. So all three are, although there are three mechanisms of heat transfer, the medium may involve only two of them simultaneously. For example, dalam vacuum flask, for example, nama pun vacuum flask, vacuum. So the heat transfer can be reduced. Saya tak ada gambar di sini, but there's popular questions in SPM and also in A-level physics. You have vacuum flask. Why the hot water in vacuum flask can last long, 24 hours still hot? So you have to able to explain that. So the heat loss by conduction is reduced by having that empty space, vacuum. So there is no heat conduction. So the heat loss by convection is reduced by, of course, you put up tightly, close it, and the radiation heat transfer is reduced by having shiny aluminium like surface that will reduce the heat loss by radiation. Masih ingat soalan gitu? Kata 5 dulu kan? Haba mengalir melalui conduction apa? Saya pun lupa dah. Convection, conduction, and radiation, and you are given several examples and ask you to explain physical meanings. And the most popular question is, I said just now, the hot water bottle and flask. Why the water in hot water bottle lost easily, but not if you put the water in what we call the vacuum flask? So from the heat transfer point of view, you have to explain that. So what is this? It's from your textbook actually. Just skip that one. So this is a quite common example where you have to consider all the several heat transfer combination. So we have surfaces, given the temperature, given the properties of the fluids, and you are given the heat loss by radiations as well. You have the K value, you have the H value, coefficient of heat transfer by convection, the conductivity of material, and heat loss by radiation. So in other words, they consider all three. So you are given all this, and then calculate the rate of heat transfer, and finally what is the temperature of the body in degrees Celsius. Heat loss by radiation is already given 300 watts. In other words, you don't have to calculate Stefan Boltzmann equation. Just that is the heat loss by radiation. So calculate the heat transfer. In other words, the heat transfer there, the heat transfer from the surface, from the solid to the surface by convection plus radiation. So in other words, the heat transfer from the Newton law of cooling can be calculated. So the heat transfer, sorry, why we did not suruh balik lah ni? Dah habis dah. We are almost there actually. Okay, so the energy loss from the body, from the solid to the surface by convection plus radiation. So the heat transfer by convection can be calculated using the Newton law of cooling. Energy balance, heat conduction is equal to heat loss by convection plus heat loss by radiation. Heat loss by radiation is given 300 watts. Heat loss by convection, you determine then that from the calculation. So the conduction can be calculated from that. Sum of convection, sum of radiation. So there is heat loss by conduction, heat transfer by conduction. And then applying the Fourier equation, so from which we can calculate the temperature difference or temperature gradient. So the heat transfer by conduction, the thickness, the conductivity, the surface area, so delta T, the temperature difference between the surface and the other side, can be calculated, so the temperature can be determined. Must be higher than 250, that temperature. Must be higher than that, 250. So the T1 is must be higher than TW. Otherwise, there will be no heat transfer. So you get 253 degrees Celsius. Okay. In other words, we use combination of heat transfer, Fourier equation, and Newton law of cooling. In this case, we don't use the Stefan-Boltzmann equation. The value is given, but there are times when you have to use all three equations. That's it. It's the chapter 1. Nampak simple, nampak macam mudah. Tapi itulah biasanya test 1. Actually, test 1 covered only chapter 1. And this time you are, nak kata laki ke unlucky, tak tahu lah, there's no test 1. So, but you still need to understand this rate of heat transfer mechanism. And because it is the fundamental of thermal engineering. Nanti kalau ada interview kerja mana-mana, tanya what's the mechanism of heat transfer, kalau kamu kata tak tahu, tak boleh lah. Bukan saja memalukan kamu, memalukan the whole faculty, EM 220. You must know the mechanism of heat transfer and be able to explain the mechanism of heat transfer. Okay, there's 1.5 hours. So still have a lot of time to ponder. So you go through all the slide. The slide can be downloaded from your class group and understand. I don't know about tutorial. Maybe up to your individual group whether there's tutorial or not. Because normally, well, it is just the application, the application of this 3 governing equation. But not only calculation, you must be able to explain the physical meaning of the heat transfer mechanism and the physical meaning of things like K value, rate of heat, coefficient of convection, K value, what's the significance of it, and H value just now, the coefficient. We don't call it H value, we call it a coefficient of convection. It is not fixed. That H is not fixed. It is determined by experiment. The value is not fixed. Different condition, different value of coefficient of convection. That's it. Any question, you don't post it here. You post it in the respective group in the tutorial. Okay, so end of chapter 1. So next week we go to chapter 2, conduction. Mana nak berhenti ni? Back to the, still there? So 1 hour 37 minutes. Okay, should be sufficient enough. So hopefully you can get something. So before this is only week 2. You still have not busy yet. So you have plenty other courses as well, all online. So don't put yourself under pressure, although you are under pressure. If you have problem with the internet and so on, just inform the lecturers, inform the HEP, Dr. Azman. Siapa perlu siapa perlu nak duit nak beli top up ke apa ni untuk internet, atau rumah tak ada internet ke? Because you are staying at home. If you are staying in Shah Alam, we don't have internet problem. Not much problem, but I don't know. Some of you may have a problem. You have to inform the class. Jangan diam saja tiba-tiba kata tak tahu pun kelas dah mula macam begitu kan. Okay, back Anything Dr. Ahmad or Dr. Shahar? Dr. Wan, kalau ada apa-apa.
Yep. I think student tak tahu lagi jadual kita yang kita punya pembahagian grup ni. So which is the class will be conducted on Friday, starting at 10 a.m. in the morning, and then we are going to combine
Monday
morning, and then we're going to combine 4 groups, which is group my group, and then PM Dr. Ramlan, and then the PM Dr. Wan Ahmad Najmi, and Encik Muhammad Sahab. So we are going to conduct a mass lecture for these 4 groups, and we divided according to the chapters. So for the first chapter and introduction will be covered by PM Dr. Ramlan. And then after that, the second chapter, conduction will be covered, which is will be held in the next week. We're going to have 2 weeks or 3 weeks, Dr. Ramlan, for which is the week 3 and week 4, something like that, for conduction.
Yep.
Yeah, that will be covered by Encik Muhammad Sahar. And then after conduction, we will go to chapter 3, which is convection. That will be covered by me. And then after that, the week after, I think week 5, week 6, which is heat exchanger. Also under my lecture as well. And then after that, we're going to have convection, heat exchanger, convection, heat exchanger, and then we go to the thermodynamics, which is combustion dulu ke apa nama tu ni dulu? Refrigeration. Yeah. Refrigeration will be covered by
Dr. Wan.
Yeah. Refrigeration and air conditioning by Dr. Wan, and then finally the combustion. Combustion siapa dia? Dr. Ramlan? You're going to take over again? Or?
Saya rasa Dr. Wan 3, last 3.
Last 3. Banyak. Okay. Alright. So for the today we have recorded. Saya tak tahu Syariman mana yang recorded ni. I hope that when the recorded stop, and then this recorded we go to my link, and then I will upload this recorded into YouTube channel. So please subscribe to YouTube channel, and I also have uploaded the previous semester videos, starting from chapter 3 for the heat convection until combustions. Okay.
Last semester.
Yeah.
Last semester, chapter 1, chapter 2 is face to face.
Yeah, face to face. So
and then only convection that we start.
Yeah. So for the chapter 1 and chapter 2, I will do the recording for the video, and then will be uploaded, and then as well with this recording as well. And then the tutorial, and as well the assignment. I will give the assignment through this. For my class, yeah. So for the chapters assignment will be given if you go through the YouTube videos, okay. And then I will copy into the Windows Classroom, Microsoft Team Classroom. So for all the materials, the PowerPoint presentation, you can download it from the materials, okay, from the classroom materials. So PM Dr. Ramlan and Dr. Wan Ahmad Najmi and Encik Sahar also will upload their materials in the Microsoft team, yeah. So you can download there, and then all the assignment, coursework, you can upload. You can download from the MS Team as well. Okay.
So basically the quizzes is up to the
individual
groups, and for assignment 30%, I think we start to it's only in the second half of the semester, normally after week 7, that we will start to do the project. In other words, after we have completed several chapters, including the heat exchanger, and I think by that time, air conditioning system as well, or refrigeration. So you have to work in a group, normally a group of 3, but if you have problems, you can discuss with your lecturer. 3 is ideal. Not single work solo, kecuali kalau betul-betul ada masalah lah. Duduk seorang-seorang kat tengah pulau mana tak ada kawan. Tapi you're thinking about online kan. So that will we'll start the assignment only in week 7 onwards.
So there is a question from Syed Amirul Hanif kan. Untuk convection and radiation, example yang ada untuk silinder jekan. So if you ada bentuk cube or cuboid, apa equation untuk surface area? So you have to understand that the surface area will be depends on the normal or direction of the rate of the heat transfer. So bergantunglah macam mana ya. So kalau if you're looking on the cylinder, that on the surface, kalau you ambil satu cylinder, berapa banyak? Ada vertical directions, height dia, sama ada heat transfer dalam bentuk H direction ataupun dalam bentuk tangential ataupun dalam bentuk bentuk tangential ataupun dalam bentuk radial. It depends dalam bentuk that one, and then the surface area juga akan bergantung kepada the direction of the heat transfer process. So which is nanti dalam conduction and convection you're going to look on that, yeah. So it is the adjacent of or the normal to the surface directions.
But
normal to the heat transfer directions.
The normal confusion is actually when the student could not differentiate between surface area and cross sectional area. Dia nampak A saja di belasah, A is area.
Yeah. So the surface area tu lain, cross section area tu tak lain, is normal. Kalau it is in this direction, so which mean that the surface area in this direction, this surface. Okay. Alright. So kalau dia cuboid ataupun what you say that it is x, y, z direction ataupun Cartesian coordinate. So it will be sama ada dalam x, y direction atau x ataupun y direction ataupun z direction. And then it depend on the normal surface area yang it will go through. Okay. So ada lagi tak soalan? Mungkin Dr. Wan Najmi nak tambah anything? Dah tak ada dah. Alright. Saha? Okay. Kalau tak ada, Dr. Ramlan, anything else?
Tak ada, but everybody must record your attendance because the faculty want to have record. So
attendance ada bagi ya schedule attendance.
Ikut kelas masing-masing lah, simple Google Form and record. Okay. Kalau tak susah nak record ni. So guna Google Form, that mean they have to
Google Form pun and ada things juga, tak apalah.
Kita percaya 100% lah siapa yang ada tu akan isi.
Yeah.
So the faculty want the record every week. So actually the purpose is just like attendance form as you have in face-to-face, but the other reason is to basically to find student who have problem with internet and so on. Nak tahu je kenapa dia tak join. Sebab apa? Kalau sebab dia tidur tu tak boleh kata apalah, tapi kalau sebab internet dia tak kuat dan semuanya, mungkin ada. We have to find other means other than synchronized lecture. Maybe the student have to go through unsynchronized mode of teaching and learning. Okay, I don't have anything else. Yes.
Okay. Alright, yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. So saya off the recording dan juga all the classroom. Okay.
Okay, you can go.